This is Boston Chris with another great episode of the ETX ROCKS Show.
Louise here.
Descript.
Featuring all genres and styles of entertainment.
And coming to the ETX ROCKS.
Let's hear it from Louise, please.
From the unheralded and unheard to the legends and beyond.
Out of the box, ETX ROCKS.
It's awesome.
We keep them coming.
$5, that's pocket change.
Well, hey, y'all, this is Haley McDaniel. Are y'all ready for this?
ETX ROCKS Show is the greatest show of all time, okay?
We are ETX ROCKS.
The ETX ROCKS Show is the best show of all time, say? The other shows, you're good, you're real good. As long as we're around, you'll be second best, say?
Cut.
Remember, we're dedicating the night to Mr. Daniel Elzner. Best damn guitar player ever come out of East Texas. Come on.
Hey guys, and welcome to a brand new episode of the ETX ROCKS Show with yours truly, Boston Chris. This is Behind the Music with Boston Chris. And this episode is a little bit different than what we've done in the past. This is in remembrance of Daniel Elzner, a legend in his spare time. Now, as someone who is part of the music community here in East Texas, unfortunately, I never really got to meet Daniel face to face or talk to him. We hung out in the same rooms from time to time, and I knew who he was, but never had the opportunity to actually sit down and talk with the man. And just hearing all these stories about Daniel and what he meant to so many people here in East Texas just makes me feel really disappointed that I never got to meet the man. This episode is filmed in a few different places. The Sandbar here in Kilgore, where I'm sitting now, at the Daniel Elzner benefit and memorial. We also filmed a little bit at Daniel's funeral, as well as at the Oil Well Club in Longview. We hope you'll enjoy this. This is basically a documentary on the life and memories from friends and family of the legend in his spare time, Mr. Daniel Elzner. Y'all check this out.
What you gonna do? Oh, baby, what you gonna do? I'm sick and tired, fooling around with you. Wake up in the morning, get you something to eat. Before I go to work, I even brush your teeth. I come home, you're still in bed. Gotta run your head. Oh, baby, what you gonna do? I'm sick and tired, running around with you.
All right, so we are here talking with Billy Hendricks, who played with Daniel in a few bands, I understand.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about his musicianship and what it was like playing on stage with him.
Yeah, Daniel was in a band with Lynn Groom and Brady Mosier and I called Squeeze, and we played in Kilgore at the Sands for the whole year of '71.
Wow.
Then we moved up to Dallas, and we were the house band at the Fog. And then we kind of broke up in Dallas, but we got back together and ended up playing over in Longview at the Barron Club. That was like '73. We played there as a house band for a year, and then the band broke up. But when Lynn Groom decided to add Daniel to the band, he was not in the original Squeeze, but before we started playing at the Sands, he was in the band. And I'd never heard of him. I heard this guitar player from Fat Tuesday out of Athens. And man, when he showed up and started playing, it was like, whoa. He was
Like different. A religious experience.
Well, he was the closest thing to Bugs that I've heard.
Yeah.
Brady Mosier's a great guitar player. He's more of a picker. And then Daniel could play that slide. I always said he was a cross between Dwayne Allman and Lowell George.
Wow.
You know, and it was like, I just didn't hear, you just don't hear very many guys play slide like Daniel did. And he could also play drums. He also played a little harp and stuff like that.
A lot of times it's off the cuff, off the top of his head.
We would every time at the Barron Club there. Sometimes at the end of the night, he'd start doing some little howdy, this is the road hog kind of thing at the end, and just the whole place would be rolling, laughing. He could be, even though he's kind of a quiet guy, he could be very funny.
Right. That's awesome. And if you could have a message for his family who might be watching, what would you say?
I just, you know, like I said, I was blessed to be able to play with a guy as talented as Daniel. We weren't as close as friends, but we lived together for I don't know how many years, you know, in different houses and stuff like that. But, you know, even after the Squeeze broke up and I, you know, moved up to Dallas and played in all these different bands, I always would talk about Daniel, about how well he could play the slide guitar, and it was just, he was one of a kind as far as I was concerned. So, you know, I was just felt honored to come here and in his memory and come here and play. And I was just really happy that the guys in the band, even though they have no connection to Daniel whatsoever, agreed to drive all the way down here from Dallas to do this show. And so, you know, I hope we're hoping.
What do you think about the response here? All these folks out here celebrating his life, and
I think it's great. I mean, Daniel was a good guy. He was a good guy. I think anybody that knows him knew he was a good guy. And anybody that really knew him knew he was really a pretty funny guy.
right.
You know, and so he always had little quips like his favorite saying, you know, a legend in my own spare time. He would always come up with stuff like that and just crack you up. So I'll tell you a little funny story though. He was not only was he in Squeeze with me, but he joined, later on he joined a band I was in called Crosstown out in Dallas. He moved up there. And we were playing at a club in Oklahoma City one time. We had this young drummer who was just a real smart ass. And so I had a van that was all gutted. It was an old van gutted in the back. There was no seats, just beanbag chairs and stuff like that. So I'm driving and Daniel's sitting in the passenger seat and everybody else is in beanbag chairs behind me. And right behind my chair, our drummer was sitting there just making these wisecracks, just getting me really hacked off. And I'm driving down some road in Oklahoma City, and he finally pisses me off to the point where I jump out from behind the wheels and go back behind the seat and start pounding on him. And without even a blink, Daniel jumps over the driver's seat and just keeps driving.
Drummer here in Longview, and this is a picture of the Jerry Kilgore and Loose Boots Band, recorded Tuesday, July 28th, 1992 at the Mills Studio in Gladewater, Texas. We got Jerry on guitar and vocals, Wally bass and vocals, me on drums, Daniel Elzner on lead guitar and vocals, and Rick Jones on keyboards and vocals.
Boston Chris again. We're out here still at the Sandbar for the Daniel Elzner Memorial Benefit out here, talking about one of the best guitarists in the world from what I'm hearing from all of these amazing musicians from East Texas. And of course, if we're talking about legendary musicians, we got to talk to Ricky Lynn, who's playing out here, of course. As a phenomenal guitar player, tell us what it's like. I know that Daniel was one of the best musicians, not in East Texas, but anywhere, on slide guitar. So from one guitarist to another, tell us what his technique was like and what made him so special.
You know, music was in his family.
Right.
So with that, it was born within him. So that's a great plus. So he knew where to put licks in the holes.
Right.
That means there's a hole, let's put it there. What he taught us as kids is to be good, be on top, play the right note, and don't mess up. And that meant a lot to us because a lot of us, we wormed our way through things. And we learned from him that if you're going to be a professional, be the best.
And from what I'm gathering from other musicians like Sammy and others we've talked to, he was very good at not having a filter between his brain and his hands, where he would think something and it would just come out as music. So what does that teach you as a younger musician growing up?
The last two times I jammed with him, I would find out what he was doing, and then I would counter that,
Right.
and it fit. It's kind of like this.
Yeah. It's like building blocks.
And he would move.
Right.
He would look at me, and he'd look at me, he'd wink. He would stay where he was, I'd stay where I was. So he understood placement.
Okay.
And like the great Barry Beckett, the producer, told me one time, he said, it took me 6 months to learn to play piano, but it took me 16 years to learn where to put it. He understood that way before we were told. So Daniel not only was one of the world's greatest, he was the best way to put it is he knew internally. No one had to teach him. He just had it. He was born with it.
Yeah. And if you could speak directly to his family through this documentary, what would you say to his family? And if you could look in the camera, that'd be great.
You have a great son. He's waiting for you. He's building a home for you all in heaven with yours, your mothers and your fathers, your grandmothers and grandfathers. And I know that's where he was because when I went into the hospital for my heart problem, right across the hall was Daniel Elzner. He checked in and checked out. I did. And for that will stay with me forever. So God bless you, and thank you, Daniel. You're the greatest.
Chris, and we're back at the Daniel Elzner Memorial Benefit here at the Sandbar and Marina here in Kilgore, Texas. And we've run into Bobby O and the Mojo's drummer, Mr. Daniel Latham, and he's decided to come on camera and talk a little bit about Daniel Elzner. So tell us some of your memories of Daniel.
Well, you know, when I first met Daniel, I started playing nightclubs when I was like 13. Okay? I had to get a miner's release. I played with much older musicians. When I was 15 years old, a guitar player, I finished a supper club gig in Tyler with this band, and this guitar player said, "You need to come listen to this guy." And you know, I wasn't 15 years old. How I got in is at the Lone Star Club in Kilgore. And I went in with him and didn't have no problems, and I was just blown away.
Yeah.
And it was Daniel Elzner and Axford, you know. And this was like in 75, 76. And man, I just, you know, just hearing all those guys, including Daniel, just made me want to be a better musician. But anyway, I didn't get a chance to actually play with Daniel until around the mid-80s. 85, 86. We had a band called Street Talk. That's when me and Bobby O had gotten together with Daniel. We had a keyboard player named Danny Davis, and we had a little band called Street Talk, and played for quite a while. And then one of the last actual established bands I played with. It was a band called Just Woke Up, and it was me and Daniel Elzner and Rick Jones. We had a three-piece band, and you know, we kick off stuff like Wind It Up. And it was actually the first band that I ever heard Daniel sing tough. You know, and but anyway, over the years, man, you know, I've become really good friends with him.
Tell us what it's like to kind of grow up with a mentor. You know, you're in the same bands with a guy that mentored you.
Oh, it was just wonderful, man. I mean, you know, and the fact that she could go over to his house and talk to him, you know, was just, you know, I mean, you know, I cherish those moments, you know, that we spent together and played together. You know, we had a lot of life experiences with kids and stuff together, you know, early on, and we watched each other go through a bunch of crap.
Right. I can imagine.
I think he was the, you know, well, I know he was the best man for my fourth wedding.
Your fourth wedding?
Yeah, my
At least you're keeping track of that stuff.
Well, yeah, it's kind of semi. You know, I tend to have forgotten about it, and I actually had to look it up, you know, in case someone asked me about that. But he's always been like a brother to me, you know.
And if you could have a message for his family who would probably watch this, what would you say to them?
Well, you know, I just got through talking to all of them, you know, except for Jody. And, you know, she knows, Kathy knows that, you know, I love her. I've invited her out to some of our gigs with Bobby O and the Mojos, you know, just to get her out, you know, and be among friends. And anyway, just the message I would like is tell him I love you, you know, and I knew your daddy loved you.
So we're back out here at the Sandbar, and we're talking to folks about Daniel Elzner, the legend in his spare time. And we ran into the legendary Sammy Brashear out here. Brazier.
It's a long A. You know, long is part of my name.
That's true. When you talk about amazing guitarists around here, Sammy's name comes up quite often.
Thank you.
And Daniel as well. So from one guitarist talking about another, tell us what Daniel brought to musicianship in East Texas.
Let me just start back. When I was young, just coming up, maybe out of high school, starting to play as a professional musician, I had the opportunity to play in several bands with Dan, and we became really good friends. Well, Daniel Elzner was the type of guitar player that you didn't want to give him a song to work up. You just threw it on him at the gig, and he's going to play it better than whoever played it on the record.
Right.
So, that being said, we played in several bands together. Lots of memories back, let's say in the early 80s. About 86, I moved to Dallas and I worked at Brook Mays Music. Daniel was living in Kaufman, Texas. I would have Daniel drive from Kaufman to my music store to give lessons for me. At that time, we started another band, and we played like in different places around Dallas, but we were kind of the house band at the Euless Yacht Club.
Okay.
And Dan would come in, and I mean, I could work up a song. Let's just say, for instance, Roy Buchanan, a really good guitar player. I might work it up as close to the record as I could, and then I'd say, Daniel, it's your time to solo. Well, he would burn whatever that was.
Yeah.
He would just take it to the next level, okay? After that, we somehow all ended up back in East Texas, and
it's crazy how that works.
Yeah. Anyway, I got with Dan. I said, let's start a band, and we said, okay, let's do this. Let's call this band Guitarded, because we were making fun of ourselves. Okay? It didn't mean anything towards anybody with disabilities or anything, but we were making fun of ourselves. So we'll call it Guitarded. Daniel Elzner was an original member of that band, and at that time, let's just say throughout the first year, his health started going down. And towards the end of that band, or he being in the band, he was having to sit in a chair to play the rest of the night, you know. But anyway, the most incredible guitar player, and it's known, he was my favorite guitar player. I would put Daniel Elzner up against anybody in the world on slide guitar. Anybody in the world. Not Texas, not the United States, in the world. And he was that good, okay?
Amazing.
Just a natural.
So if you could say something to his family out there, what would you say?
Well, they know how much I love Dan and what he meant to me and what an influence he was on me. And I set him down. I said, look, Dan, I don't play slide guitar. I said, show me what you know. And he'd tell me little things like, Sammy, it's not so much in your left hand, a lot of it's your right hand. He muted strings and things like this. I mean, he had gone in and just analyzed it to perfection, basically. Anyway, I never could replicate it, so I didn't play slide.
You play pretty good slide, though, man.
Well, I try, but it's nothing like a real player like he was. Unbelievable. And what a guy, what a personality. Never had one crossword with him ever. I remember this, I'll tell you this story. We were in Dallas, and I was working up a Gary Moore song, Still Got the Blues. Really pretty chords, really involved. And I got to this one spot, and I go, man, I can't figure out this chord. Daniel was over at my house and said, Dan, listen to this. And I go, I can't figure out this chord. And he goes, try this. And boom, that's what it was. I mean, just that quick.
Wow.
Yeah, unbelievable.
So he was just a genius when it came to something with
Unbelievable.
strings.
People do not know what a player he really was. People just don't realize. Of course, all us musicians do. He was my favorite guitar player ever to come out of East Texas, and there's been some good ones. You know?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Bugs Henderson, just on and on and
Ricky
on.
Lynn's a pretty good guitarist.
Ricky Lynn
too.
Gregg.
Yeah.
Of course, Ricky Lynn and I grew up together, so I'm very familiar with his playing.
Right. Well, I appreciate you coming on. What do you think about all the folks here that are here celebrating his
I
life?
just think it's great. It's just awesome. And very seldom does this happen where all these people get together. I've seen people I hadn't seen in 30, 40 years.
Right.
You know, they're here tonight to celebrate Dan's life. And one thing that I think all us musicians will tell you guys, Daniel Elzner was the best guitar player to ever come out of East Texas, ever.
Wow.
Could have played with the Allman Brothers. Could have played with anybody. That's how good he is.
It's quite something to say with all the talent that resides
the
here.
very best. He was always my favorite player. We started playing in bands together when I was right out of high school. Matter of fact, I have a recording us riding to the gig, and we're playing with this guy that's really, I'm not going to mention any names, but not a very good player.
Okay.
And I turned on my recorder, I say, hey Dan, we're fixing to start a band with blah, blah, blah. And we're just joking along the way to get to the gig, you know. And we get to the gig, and it was just, we put a little cassette player on the floor, you know, to record it, and I still have that recording. Unbelievable, some of the stuff he did that night. Unbelievable.
Watched by the rain, driven by the snow, drunk in dirt. Don't you know who I'm still? Out on the road, late at night, seeing my pretty Alice and have a headlight. Alice.
All right, so we are with the one and only Bobby Clare here at the Sandbar and Marina. We're out on the back porch here, overlooking the river, as y'all can see. And they got the
Celebrating.
Rub. Yeah, celebrating the life of the legend in his spare time, Mr. Daniel Elzner. And the Rub is in there playing us some jams. So tell us a little bit about your relationship and some memories you have of Mr. Elzner.
I know Daniel would love what they're playing in there right now. You know, yeah, he was just one of the greatest players in the world, not just here in East Texas. I mean, I've played a lot of places and heard a lot of people, and I'd always bring up, you should hear a guy named Daniel Elzner in East Texas if you hadn't. And a lot of people already heard of him in a lot of places. But he was the kind of guy, if you played a gig with him, if you heard Daniel was going to be part of the band you were getting called to play a gig with, you wanted to do it because it was going to be great, you know, because of him. And he's a guy, you can forget what you're doing, literally, as a drummer or bass player, whatever. Daniel would play licks and you'd start listening to him too much.
Right. Tell us some of the things that made Daniel Elzner great.
Man, his precision. You know, he was originally a drummer. He started off as a drummer. He changed to guitar, and when you played with him, when you played a fill, he played fills. It's like you rehearsed it for, you know, because he would play it like it was a drum fill, you know, with the precision, you know, just nailed it every time. He'd sit down a lot. When he'd stand up, you know, he's fixing to burn a solo out. It's just awesome. You know, he just really quick, really fast, but he'd play slow stuff that just, you know, he was just an awesome player. He was as good as anybody could be.
See, I never actually met Daniel, but I've heard stories about his legendary slide skills. And
oh yeah, as a slide player, he just, you know, Daniel was just the awesome all-around player. He just, studio work, whatever you wanted, anything you wanted a guitar to do, he could do it.
That's incredible.
Yeah, literally.
And it's quite a testament to his life, how many people are here today.
And the players, the guitar players that have idolized him. Yeah. There's some great ones here, you know.
And some amazing drummers here and amazing bass players. I mean, everybody here is just cream of the crop of East Texas.
I got to play with them most out at Leon's on the Wednesday night jams years ago when it was still in the inside before the big room was out there.
Right.
It was an awesome jam.
At the end of that tunnel room.
Him and Sluggo playing bass, and Daniel was there every week. That was some of the most fun, you know. It was just a jam session, but it's some of the most fun nights I've ever had.
If you could say something to his family, what would you say?
I wish we could have him around longer.
Daniel is somebody that I've known for probably 40 years. And he and I were never in a band together, but we jammed together many, many times. And there was never anybody that had any more taste about his playing than Daniel did. You ask any musician from this part of the country about Daniel, and they'll tell you he's the greatest slide guitar player they ever heard. And I would agree with that. He would show up at certain gigs and sit in with bands that I was playing with, and everything he played was always right where it was supposed to be all the time. I never had played with anybody with more taste than Daniel. But more importantly, Daniel was a great human being. His heart was as big as Texas, and there's nobody that was more loved.
Daniel Elzner on guitar.
got a boy child coming. He's gonna be a silver gun. He's gonna take pretty women. He's gonna take them by their hand. The whole wide world's gonna wonder. I'm the hoochie coochie man. Lord knows I'm here. I'm your hoochie coochie man. Lord knows I'm here. On the 7th month, yeah, on the 7th day, on the 7th hour, I hear the 7th say, this fall was born for loving. Yeah, you know it's true. Lord, I got $700. I'm gonna mess with you. I'm here. Right here. God knows I'm here. The gypsy woman told my mama, yeah, on the day I was born, Lord, you got a boy child coming. You know he's gonna be a son of a gun. He's gonna take the women. Yeah, he's gonna take them by the hand. The whole wide world's gonna wonder if I'm your hoochie coochie man. God knows I'm here. sexy woman told my mama, yeah, on the day I was born, no, you got a boy child coming. He's gonna be a son gun. He's gonna take those pretty women. He's gonna take them by the